wonderful music and prayer together. We'll welcome Shabbat. How wonderful it is, Hine Matov, that we are here together, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, as brothers and as sisters, all united as one. Please join with us. Shir, Chadash, sing a new song, all the earth, to Adonai. My friends, we turn to our candles and kiddush. And Susan, would you and Ray like to be can I put you and Ray on the spot? As we begin our formal welcome, we'll turn to page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
So we bring in all of that Shabbat energy and Shabbat light and love as we chant our bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And on page 5.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. We say l'chaim. Thank you both very, very much. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. And we'll turn now in our Sidurim, our prayer books, to Lechadodi, our official welcoming of the Sabbath bride. Picture yourselves in the middle of a meadow as twilight comes on, as the sun is setting. This is the place where Lechadodi was created so many generations ago by a rabbi named Shlomo Alkabetz. And in fact, if you look at the Hebrew as we chant our prayer tonight, you will see that he wanted everybody to remember his name, so he began every verse with a letter of his name. So we have an alphabetical acrostic. He was so moved by the view and the sense of God's presence and holiness that he felt as Shabbat entered into Israel, into Tzfat, that this is what came out of his soul, the Chadodi. Likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat dodi, likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat nikabela. La 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 la, likrat dodi, likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat dodi, likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, M'shem u'tiferet b'likti la 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 l'echad dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikavela. L'chad dodi, likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha, ki v'kor ha'veracha, mirosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavati la 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 l'chad dodi, likrat kala, v'nei b'nei Shabbat nikavela. L'chad dodi, likrat kala, v'nei b'nei Shabbat nikavela.
Bohi v'shalom ateret ba'alam, gam b'simacha u'v'tzochela, toch emunei am ha'segula. Bohi chala, bohi chala.
L'chad dodi, likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat nikavela. L'chad dodi, likrat kala, mene penei Shabbat formal call to worship, our Baruch, page 28. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Yailai, yailai, lalai, yailai, lalai, yailai, lalai, 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 yailai, lalai, 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 yailai, lalai, lalai, lalai. And together we'll join in the English on the bottom of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravi. Please join me in the calling of the Shema, page 34. Adonai Echad. as they crossed the sea. If you can imagine that sound, the rushing of Pharaoh's men, the rushing of the waves, and what it must have felt like to have made that journey from one side to the other, to be free at last, to be upon a whole new direction. This is that energy that Moses and Miriam led their people of Israel with. Micha Mocha, page 40. Please join with us. Micha Mocha ba'Elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'Elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora, Nora, Ose, Nora, Ose, Adonai Imlo le'olam ha'ed. Malchut Techara u'vanecha, Elokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'elianu ve'yameru, Ze'elianu ve'yameru, Adonai Imlo le'olam ha'ed. Micha Mocha, Micha Mocha ba'Elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh, Micha Mocha ba'Elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora, Ose, Nora, Ose, Adonai Imlo le'olam ha'ed. Adonai Imlo le'olam ha'ed. So we stood on those shores of the sea and sang this song. And then we began a new journey, and that journey was not so easy. We were alone in the desert, and we had no idea of where to move, no idea of where to go. And so we cried out to Adonai, Hashkivenu Adonai, God, please guard us. Please enwrap us with your wings of peace, your Sukkot Shalom. And so it was by fire at night and by clouds by day that we finally made our way to the foot of Mount Sinai, where, as the sages tell it, you either heard the great thundering and voice of God, or you heard that silence. And out of that came the commandment to celebrate, to be happy, yismechu, sameach, to joyfully celebrate these special 25 hours that we have of holy and sacred time. Page 44. Yes. beginning on page 46. Service that we take part of throughout the Jewish calendar. Please join me in the bottom of page 61. Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first. Shalom Rav, page 60. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom. all of our heartfelt prayers for a refuah shlema, a complete healing of body, mind, soul, and spirit. And we hold in our hearts at this time all those who we know are suffering. It might even be ourselves. And I invite you to hold that name in your heart as we join together in our prayer for healing, Yishbera, on page 250. Shabbat Shalom. Laws of the land. And a reminder to never forget. When I started driving, my mom, hi Mom, would only let me drive in an empty parking lot with the car in neutral. She was wise, because whenever she spoke to me, I'd turn and look at her, hi Mom, and well, she would yell at me, eyes forward, eyes forward. Okay. Listen to this, Alabama takes the saying, keep your eyes on the road, even further. When driving in Alabama, it is illegal to drive while blindfolded. Yes, what we assume as common sense is an actual law on the books. Here's another one. This one made my whole family laugh last night. In the 1920s, Arizona passed a law forbidding donkeys from sleeping in the bathtub. Donkeys from sleeping in the bathtub, yep. Following a broken dam and flooding, a rancher's home filled with water, whisking his poor donkey miles away. After its rescue, folks decided that barn animals should remain in the barn. Smart decision. These are just a couple of laws that we have in the U.S. They may seem a little wacky, but they are there to help safeguard our civil society. They might also seem a little redundant. Do we really need a reminder not to drive blindfolded? And I don't know if I've ever heard of a donkey sleeping in a bathtub before I came across this law. But what they do is that they remind us that our actions beget a whole range of consequences. They reinforce basic common sense and engage good civil behavior and mindfulness toward our environment. This week's Parsha, Kitei Tzei, covers a litany of laws aimed at achieving similar moral values within civil society so that Israel, the people of Israel, may in every respect be worthy of serving as God's chosen people, as it says in the Torah. Ki Tetzeh holds the highest concentration of mitzvot, commandments, out of the 613 found in the Torah, 72 according to Maimonides. They cover everything from miscellaneous criminal, family, and civil law to moral obligations and responsibilities toward our fellow neighbors. They cover marital law, treatment of children in polygamous marriages. Yes, this was an acceptable thing way back then. And legal obligations toward female war captives are also some of the laws explained. And some of the more arcane law certainly lies within this parsha, Ki Tetzeh. There's even a law guiding the proper treatment of a person who is executed. In Ki Tetzeh, we come across one of the most unique ordinances, one of the most beautiful ordinances given by the Torah. While walking along the road, if you chance upon a mother bird and her eggs, or fledgling young, you may not take the mother together with the eggs or fledgling young. The Torah commands, Shaleach tishalach, et ha'em ve'et habanim, tikach lach lema'an yitav lach, ve'ha'arachta yanim. Let the mother go. You must let the mother go and take only the young, in order that, hello, wow. There we go. In order that you may fare well, it's on the bottom of the page. In order that you may fare well and have a long life. This verse offers a depth of commentary toward the consideration of living beings. The first words of this commandment, Tishaleach, Tishalach, try saying that 5 times fast, engage a biblical technique called a double statement, where we hear the same verb in 2 different forms. Tishaleach, tishalach gives a forceful weight to a commandment that seems on the surface to be very easy, very simple, very appropriate. What it's really telling us is that the Torah recognizes the cruelty of allowing a mother to witness the removal of her young. So Torah forcefully tells us, Tishaleach, tishalach, you must send the mother away first. Taking a mother together with her young is also expressed in the biblical Hebrew as such. Ha'im al habanim. Ha'im al habanim is also a common expression of warfare that denotes total and utter extermination. A ruthless and brutal act. Therefore, the sensitivity we show all living creatures in this moment and in all moments must be active and intentional. Known as Shiluach Hakin, this special law reaps a weighty and great reward found in halacha, Jewish law, that of living a long life. Including such a reward for this act is an intentional allusion to an earlier passage many, many moons ago, many, many chapters back, many, many books back, found in the 10 Commandments. The reward for honoring our parents is also one of the very, very few Jewish laws that rewards us with living a long life. There are only 2 or 3 of these. These verses command a critical awareness in the active care and treatment of all living beings, the depth of which results in a long and fruitful life. The gravity of this law is deep, and the rarity of the reward is great. Recognizing that the conscious and efficacious care we give to all living things preserves not only their highest potential, but also serves our own highest good. We protect the mother from trauma and abstain from the total annihilation of a species while simultaneously nourishing our bodies. Therefore, we ensure the highest good of the cycle of life. Just a few verses prior, we come across another passage that foreshadows the weightiness of these verses. The Torah explains, if you come across your neighbor's ox or sheep gone astray, you must not ignore it. You must take it back to your fellow. You shall do the same thing with anything your fellow loses and you find. You must not remain indifferent. And here we have again, V'hit alamta mehem hashev tishivem le'achicha. We have that same technique, hashev tishivem, that double statement in this part of the Torah. And what this tells us is that we absolutely must not remain indifferent to anything in front of us, behind us, around us. It implores that we take a proactive role in helping our fellow neighbors, animals. We must actively participate in reducing any harm that might come to others, human beings, animals, even our environment. This particular law of return sparked so much engagement in its implementation that in later times the Talmud devotes an entire legal discussion to parsing out our obligation of mindfully and rightfully returning something of value that is not ours. So while each of these laws may individually appear redundant, simple, easy, maybe like some of our US laws, wacky, collectively they are wonderful. They direct us to consider the particular nature and ramifications of our actions in the world. We ardently and promptly ensure the safety and health of everybody around us, every living being in our society. This week's Parsha moves us toward creating an environment that sanctifies the highest good of all its participants. This is exactly, my friends, what we must reflect upon this month of Elul. We are in the midst of the month of preparation leading up to the High Holy Days, and we must take this time to turn inward, to contemplate our service in the world, our relationships with others, including those with whom we may disagree. Kitetse concludes with Moses' impassioned commandment to his people, do not forget the evil and death Amalek brought upon you. Jewish law explains that the Israelites were not to forget the death and the destruction they experienced at the hands of the Amalekites. Yet, they were instructed in this moment to enter the land of Canaan and offer any Amalekite the gift of surrender and spare their lives upon their acceptance. Understanding how to employ these ancient texts in the 21st century world is imperative. We must not remain indifferent, even toward those who are past, present, or future, or potential enemies. There is always a chance for good. It is illegal to drive blindfolded in Alabama. A redundant law reminds us to lift both the literal and proverbial blindfold and prudently watch the road. I offer this blessing as we move forward through Elul into the new year. May we open our eyes, look below and beyond the road ahead, and notice what lies beneath the pavement, our surroundings and ourselves. May we return and elevate ourselves in service of our highest good, that of our fellow brothers and sisters and human beings, and of God. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn in our Sidurim. Oh, no, we won't. We will turn to our sermon anthem, Lidor Vador. Please join me as we rise on page 283 as we move to conclude our service with Alinu and Michael Friedman. It wouldn't be a service without asking you to please help me with the ark. Alinu l'shaveach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gidula li'otzer b'reshit, shehu samchachinu li'ached et shemo, v'gor alinu lehamlich malachuto, va'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai, melech hakol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad. It has been said Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth. On that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one, and God's name will be one. Please be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week, our congregation remembers Joshua Fink, Raymond Allen Sr., Dr. Stanley Frager, Frederick Betts, Jan Brinch, Rosalind Goldstein, Marilyn Davis Katz, Fanny White, Max Benjamin, Etta Hirsch, Beatrice Minstein, Michael Oppenheimer, Kenneth Vine, William E. Weber, Julian White, Samuel Glaubinger, Beverly Marenbloom, Sylvia Schutz, Louis Ira Sweet, Judith Schweitzer, Jack Abrams, Teresa Diamond, Robin Frentz Isaacs, J. William Frentz, Elliot Cronish, Richard Levy, Raisa Alexandrovich, Brooke Cohen, Rhoda Daniels, Maxine D. Lapidus, Sam LaSalle, Tracy LaSalle, Neil Buddy Schwartz, Esther Waterman, Michael Robert Heffman, Lendl Massey, Dorothy Oppenheim, Freda Savis, Ronald Snyder, Morris Abraham, Doris Chasen, Loretta Curtis, Emma Mann, and of course today we remember Queen Elizabeth II, who died yesterday, 96 years young after a 70-plus year. We rise and we join together in our Kaddish Tov, our mourner's Kaddish, on page 294. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayekon v'yomechon, uv'chayetechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah v'rach le'olam v'lamei al hayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן מעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום מרומם, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ויאמרו אמן. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for a blessing. Please join with us as we close our Shabbat with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Bimromam, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom libromam, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom libromam, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please do not forget, a week from tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, be here, meet me if you haven't already, and if you have, meet me again. Have some yummy food and welcome in the High Holy Days with Slichot. And tomorrow night, we are all going to be hanging out at Doug Voss's Louisville Gymnastics for Family Fun Night. So please come and join us. And you'll also see my daughter walking and running around there. So hope to see you there and next week. Shabbat Shalom.